My name is Kjetil Thorsen. I'm the founder of Snøhetta. Right now I'm sitting on a bench designed by us. And this bench is designed as a way of bringing people together by gravity. If you sit up on either of these sides, you will slowly slide together towards the middle where I'm sitting right now. For me, this is a way of using design actively to generate certain situations where people meet, come together, and actually consciously talk amongst themselves about things that matter, about things that actually concerns them in their everyday lives.
Dialogue is a core value of the Nobel Peace Prize, one may say. Many of the Peace Prize laureates have been using dialogue as a tool and method to achieve the incredible deeds that they have gotten the Peace Prize for. And we have been thinking at the Nobel Peace Center that in the world today, dialogue is more needed than ever. When we have so much polarization, hate speech, and people not being able to discuss and talk properly together, then we really need to lift the importance of dialogue. And this bench that we're currently sitting is kind of the physical manifestation of our dialogue program. It's been named after Nelson Mandelas famous quote, "The best weapon is to sit down and talk." And in partnership with Snøhetta, Vestre and Hydro and the Nobel Peace Center, this was created. Kjetil, can you tell us a little bit of how you're thinking behind the design and what your thoughts around this is?
I mean, thank you for starting with dialogue, because dialogue is the beginning of everything. Even when you create a bench like this, you start with dialogue. So in a way, it's, like you said, a physical manifestation of a possibility for people to come together in a certain way. We all live on the same planet. We have kind of, in many ways, the same aspirations for the next generation. We understand how things are being connected. So this particular bench is working with the idea of gravity. Gravity that collectively holds us on this planet. So the gravity here is more through this U-shaped idea of a bench where if you sit high up, you slide down towards the middle. And by sliding down from either side of this bench, you bring people closer, you bring them together by gravity. And this idea of the best weapon to sit down and talk is, of course, also a kind of forced collaboration between people sitting here and dialoguing. And I think, to me, most important is we rely on nature, we rely on people's attitudes, we rely on the languages that we're speaking, we rely on how they're being translated and how they're being put into real life. So for now, this bench represents all the best things we could hope for or imagine into the future as a very simple move.
It is a very simple shape, but still it's very symbolic. We use it a lot. When we meet people and want to have dialogue, we use this bench as a representation for the dialogue. And in addition, this bench is also a part of everyday life in the city outside here. We see people using it a lot. It serves many purposes.
Yeah, which is great, which is dealing with all the best things in life. They have many angles. But you know, sometimes it really helps to be a little bit explicit about the things you want to achieve. So by calling it a dialogue bench with reference to the quote of Mandela, it tells you something, you know? It already communicates, not only through shape, but through name and through being explicit on what you want to achieve. That's very similar to what you're doing inside there about peace.
And perhaps that's a little bit of the problem today, that people don't meet physical, but they meet on the internet. And there you would have kind of a lot of things happening in different echo chambers.
Correct.
So what we try to say to people is that we need to meet one another face to face, to have a proper dialogue, to understand and be curious about what your thoughts are, and not only kind of listening to the ones within your own echo chamber, because we're all in echo chambers.
Yes, for sure. I think that's very true. I mean, just us two sitting here now, it triggers our minds. It triggers our interest in the other, because it goes up on either side and brings us together here in the middle. So that triggers interest. That's why we also, very similar to you, say that physical meeting points are becoming more and more essential for this world. Because it is the only way we can utilize all our senses, like touch or like being part of something bigger than yourself. On the screen, you're always limited to almost only the voice and the vision. And most of the time, even only the voice. So you don't read body language. You don't understand what the world around you looks like while you're talking. So to me, this physical element of shaping our surroundings today is maybe more important than ever on an ideal basis, not necessarily because architecture and parks and everything else is a commodity. No, because it actually matters.
It matters. Because it is possible today to live your life totally isolated from everyone. You can do shopping from home, you can have entertainment from home, you can work from home.
Yes.
But as human beings, it may not be
Yes.
A very good way to live and to create a society.
No, completely. I totally agree.
So to create spaces where people want to come and meet is something that you really
and
have.
that's where you sometimes have to be explicit.
Yes.
You have to tell them, this is a place to sit down and to talk. Okay, it has a name, it has a shape. You can try to sit up there, but you will easily soon find out that you're sliding towards the middle. You're simply being forced to be sitting together. And I think, for me, that's how design should work. Design should work on a very subtle manner to increase the sensitivity of the public.
Beautiful.
Sensitizing you and me while we're sitting here is part of the dialogue, but it's also part of our surrounding. The wind in your hair, you know, the smell of the food trucks, everything that surrounds us is part of this dialogue.
Yeah. When we inaugurated this bench here outside the Nobel Peace Center in December 2021, we also launched our dialogue project. So these things are so interconnected for us. And central to our dialogue project is this little book, Those Who Listen Change the World. In this book, we present 8 principles, and the principles of what creates a good dialogue. We have said that the first principle is that dialogue should be a basic attitude. The need to be curious about others, respect others, and meet them as equals. And then the second principle is it creates safe spaces for people to go into dialogue.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about safe spaces?
Now, safe spaces are, of course, not what you think necessarily provided with the kind of security issues, but it's a space that radiates safety, where you can be yourself and where you can think together with others and you can have a dialogue. So we've seen examples happening in high-ceilinged spaces where you simply open up yourself to the other, you become more personal. You can see lower-ceilinged spaces where you become more interested in the details of life and more sort of into the nitty-gritty of life. You have to have a combination of these things in the world. Otherwise, you can't put yourself into different conditions. But for instance, peace negotiations could not happen, although it might be physically safe, in a lobby of an international hotel. It's too generic.
Yeah.
You need to think more about the emotions that are being generated when you come into a space. You need to think more about the materials that are there. You need to think more about the volume that it offers. You need to think about the colors that are there, the daylight, how it penetrates. It can be outdoors, it can be indoors, but you have to choose it carefully.
Yeah.
And we believe that design as a tool can contribute to the type of settings that we actually do need in order to foster great conversations, good dialogue, and that the physical surroundings have a direct psychological effect on you when you step into that room, and that opens your mind for a better dialogue than in any other way.
So lots of principles that you care deeply about in order to create these good safe spaces for people to interact and meet in a good way, which I mean can also reflects in this bench because it's a little bit playful.
Yeah.
It's very simple,
Yeah.
but it still has this welcoming, I think, welcoming, positive, kind of like a smile.
It's like a smile or an embrace.
Yeah.
Or it's like looking up to the sky and saying, okay, here, come to me. You know, it's like, it has many, both associative and symbolic kind of explanations. But the most important for me is that it triggers the conversation that is happening then between different people getting down.
I think that's very correct and a wise observation, because we are often trained on debate, where we try to tear down the other's argument.
Yes.
And that is the opposite of dialogue.
Yes.
So in dialogue you have to listen, and listen carefully, and try to understand the other person's point of view.
Yeah.
And then also,
In essence, this bench tells us we're basically the same.
yeah, we're on equal terms.
Yeah, we all accelerate at 9.6 meters per second when we fall. That's gravity. We are the same. We are connected to the surface of the earth in a similar way.
Let's hope that this bench will travel around the world for important places.
Yes.
That's our vision and ambition. And that people also get curious about the dialogue principles and visit the Nobel Peace Center's website to learn more about it.
Yes,
And it's more needed than ever in our world today, I think.
That's absolutely so.
And that people meet physically.
Yes. And that we, who believe in these principles, keep fighting for that.
Yeah.
We're using the best weapon.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.